Hello, my name is Justin Bright, and welcome to Kerbal Space Program version 1.2.2, in which I am attempting to make Kerbals a multiplanetary species. In the last episode, we had sent up a couple ships out to Minmus to do some additional base construction type activities, as well as sending up some science to the KSS. So we're going to check on that now. Okay, one more try. So apparently the material exposure experiments require some time ahead and after the actual experiment to get everything prepared and then finalized afterwards. Alright, so we've loaded that up. We can leave that out, that's pretty cool. So let's finalize some experiments. You can no longer move the experiment after finalization. Okay. Now you know how to fix your space toilet. Wonderful! An unanticipated, non-periodic, but non-random nucleate boiling phenomenon was observed in the microgravity environment during operation of the experiment. Neat. Well, I'm more interested in the 600 science, but I'm glad that non-random nucleate boiling phenomenons are worth that much. Made in Space 3. The Jebediah figures look great. Mortimer Kerman plans a new fundraising campaign selling Jebediah figures made in space. Yeah, that would be pretty neat. That's actually something that they're doing up on the ISS right now, as far as I know, is they have a little 3D printer and they're up there making the first couple items in space and sending them down for tests. It's really, really neat stuff. And the last one. You need a micrometeorite-proof coating. Well, that would probably be a good thing. How about we send back the science and you guys get to work on it? Alright, so that's it for this little science capsule. So let's go ahead and send this home. Let's take a double check on our intrepid astronauts. They still have 210 days at the minimum for habitation, so they're good to go. 92 days of supplies, and this is just a stockpile. I don't actually have any anything to grow food up here in orbit. And plenty of electric charge. Beautiful. So they will be just fine. So let's go ahead and send out Kachunk. Backing away from the space station, closing up this what do you call it? This shielded docking port. All right, so how can I? Well, it looks like if I go ahead and turn and just burn retrograde, we will be able to land in the sunlight. Let's dunk us in the water right there. Oh. Gosh, that's such a funky thing that ends up happening with the atmosphere mod. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I think it's like some kind of mismatch between, whoops. I should probably have burned off this fuel a little bit earlier than this, but that's probably fine. The thing I'm more worried about is this capsule getting off without being weird about it. Alright, slow it on down now. But yeah, I feel like that ends up happening. And decouple and wiggle, 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 wiggle. Yeah, I put these girders on here to... Oh, let go, for goodness sake. I put these girders on here to give the RCS the ability to act on the center of mass of this item, of this spacecraft, because I wasn't able to figure out a way to do that without having it up on the actual spacecraft bits up here. Oh shoot! Oh no, I forgot the gravioli detector. Oh well, that's fine. I'm not using it too much. So anyways, I put these girders on here to help orient that to the center of mass of the spacecraft, but I didn't think about how that would clamp onto the heat shield. But luckily, we were able to wiggle our way loose before re-entry heating started cooking the spacecraft. So this should be just fine. And I think what I was saying a minute earlier was the cloud textures are, when you're far away from a planet, I think that they're painted on and they're in a different way than they are when you're actually close to the body. I don't actually know exactly how that works, but it actually looks like there is physical representations of clouds all over the planet at this point. But when you're far away, I think that they must use some kind of shortcut where they're just kind of putting like a little pane of cloud coverage over part of the over the visible circular surface of the planet that is visible to you, which I imagine would be incredibly helpful. Speaking of things that would be helpful, parachutes. Parachutes would be helpful. I forgot a parachute. Okay, that's fine. We're going to have to send this one up again. I'll probably do that without bothering you guys with it. But, oh my goodness, I cannot believe I just wasted all that time getting this up here and doing that science and doing that little dance back and forth, and then I forgot to put a parachute on the gosh darn descent module, and I didn't notice until I was re-entering. Alright, and we are back with the Hulk construction lander, which is just now coming in to Minmus's sphere of influence. And let's make sure we are controlling this from the right place. There we go. That could cause us all kinds of weird trouble. So if I were to pull up, we want to try to get ourselves into a better orbit, or a better encounter, I suppose, because we're still pretty far out from Minmus, and we can change the encounter that we have, even this close, pretty dramatically with a very small amount of fuel expended. Well, I'm wondering if at this point it's not cheaper to just... Well, let's test. Let's just see. What's this going to cost me if I just... 200 meters per second, like practically nothing. This is the reason why we're around Minmus for our for construction of this base. And capture, or not capture, but enter of the sphere of influence of Minmus anyways. Now we're going to whip around and just go ahead and kill relative velocity. Oh, in the retrograde vector. That's fine, I wanted to be going radial in as well anyways. But this, if I cancel our velocity heading over and past Minmus, that'll help us to just fall straight in towards the moon, and we will... Boom. We're still at escape velocity. Gosh, Minmus is so weird. 13 meters per second apparently is escape velocity at this altitude. Alright, so let's pull it in. There, so now we're coming in at an approximately polar orbit flyby. So let's see, because this should give us a couple good chances to find and land at the base. So I'm a little concerned. Gosh, we're going so slowly. Here, that's gonna take 3 days to get down there. Alright, so the science drop capsule is going to be here in 1. So let's just go ahead. And I am at about this point going to add a maneuver, and we're just going to put a timer on it. And let's go get the drop capsule into orbit. All right, here we have the science return capsule coming into encounter Minmus. So we can turn that off. Have this thing come right in to a much saner encounter compared to the construction lander that I have. All right, so I think what we would like to do, first of all, is push ourselves a little bit radial in so we can ditch this transfer stage. Oh look, we're already there. Cool. So we are going to just throw... Oops, stay put. There we go. Cool. So that's the direction we would like to go afterwards anyways. All right, so now we are just going to go ahead and point ourselves radial. Or not radial, normal, and decouple. Beautiful. Now a little bit radial out. So now this, in an effort to clean up a little bit of my debris and to manage that a little bit better in the future, we are just going to let this smack into Minmus and not keep an eye, not have to worry about that later on. Rather than squeeze out every little drop of delta V, it's easier to just get rid of it, let it smash into Minmus, and then I will continue on my merry way. At least I hope it smacks into Minmus still. Maybe? Oh shoot, it looks like I missed. Oh no. Oh well. More debris to clean up. So someone in the comments the other day mentioned that they would like to see me spend some time cleaning up debris. And I think that doing so in the orbit of Minmus and in low Kerbin orbit in general might be a fun thing. Might be like a fun way to build like an ion-powered craft to zip around and grab debris and throw it into Kerbin's atmosphere or something like that. Let me know in the comments if that's something that sounds interesting to you for me to run that mission. All right, so we are just about finished with this. So let's, push downwards. I'm just reducing my inclination by pushing with my RCS in the anti-normal direction. 1.9 degrees is not optimal, but it's a lot closer than 7. So we are just going to rotate this lovely little craft to have its solar panels face the sun, and it is ready to roll as soon as the Minmus hopper is, so we will leave it to that. Meanwhile, the constructor lander. All right, so this is a super wonky thing. I have had trouble with this particular vessel and its orbit non-stop, and I'm really not sure why. I feel like it should not be nearly as hard as it is, and it's making me look foolish, I gotta tell you. It's making me look like I don't know what I'm doing, which is probably true, so maybe that's not such a bad thing. But in 5 days, F5 for safety, not 5 days, 2 days, this will reach its periapsis. Whoa, this is why I put down that node, because I sometimes get overzealous with the warp key, and then suddenly, next thing you know, you're flying out into interplanetary space. Oh, this is not even that one. This is the one that I put there before to make sure I did not, in fact, fling myself off into the ether. That's nice. All right, so we're getting in close now. Here we go. And let's circularize. Boom. Easy enough. So we have 1 kilometer per second left of delta V to get down to Minty Station. So let's see. Looks like it's coming around from the dark side, so I think on this coming pass, it'll also be really close underneath my my current orbit, which is just super lucky. Come on, there you go. Lower that orbit down so that it's just a little bit beyond. Give myself some wiggle room. And let's not tweak our inclination with relation to the base in any way. until we are a bit closer, because as you can see, it's rotating underneath us, putting it even more directly underneath, and now looks like it's starting to head the other direction. So let's switch out of map mode, take a look and see what we're working with. All right. Looks like we're heading pretty much right for it, which is cool. Coming straight down on the target like this is... it's worse as far as gravity is concerned, but it does make it a little bit easier to target. But even though you can see the moon rotating underneath me. So let's go ahead and rotate. Alright, time to start extending these legs. It looks like we're getting into the loading range of the base. Oh dear, I need to start killing some velocity. I'm coming down real fast. Okay, that's a little better. Don't mind the clipping. Woo, okay. We have almost killed all of our velocity at this point. So now it's just a matter of getting a little bit closer so I don't have to drive so far. Now let's start canceling all that lovely velocity that I have accrued. Please don't land on my lander. That would be rather unfortunate. Oh dear. Okay, come on. Brakes. Brakes. And touchdown. All right, we did it. Cool. Okay, so let's... Ooh, easy now. Easy. I still have some massive control wheels on here, or reaction control wheels that I don't... Whoa, okay. Hold on a second here. Because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to rotate this thing so that I'm not firing this piece off directly at the Minmus hopper. So if I turn like this, oh my goodness. Okay. All right, I think we're good now. So let's just hit the brakes and then pop them off. Ah, it turned out to be a moot point. They fall straight down. But there they go. And here it is. The big crabby Hulk construction lander is here and working fine on Minmus. Exciting times. So let's save our game and see what we can do. And for your first test, you must go and find the Karbonite platform and see if you can't stand it up on its feet. Load. And see, we're at 32 tons right now, and we load 1,000 units of rock, and that increases our weight by about 2.5 tons-ish each. My other crane only has 2 of these counterweight modules, so they only have about 5 tons of additional weight. This one has 6 total. So I'm hoping that with that and all the other components and so forth that are on here, that this thing is going to be incredibly hefty, incredibly durable. It's already not drifting about nearly as much as the other one was. So I'm hoping that this thing runs nice and is able to do everything that I needed to do as far as picking things up and moving them around. But our first test is to find out if this, if my theory about stacking the Kerbal attachment system helpers actually works. Because my theory was that if I have the magnetic coupler, the crane, 2 of these big manipulator claws, and a forklift here on the bottom, all of those things on one vessel will allow a Kerbal to pick up and move in Kerbal attachment system like 30 or 40 tons. That is my sincerest hope. Alright, so now the question is how to use stop a 35-ton rover moving at 11.5 meters per second. The answer is very, very carefully. So let's just throw on the brakes, see what happens with that. Do not flip. This thing does not have... what do you call it? This thing does not have reaction wheels on it. So if this thing falls over, I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do about that. Alright, so we're skating around to the finish line here. Alright. Look at that puny other construction bot. Ha! Okay, so F5, and we're going to bring out another Kerbal. Alright, Jeslyn is coming in to investigate and see if there's something that we can do about this giant fallen craft. Alrighty then. Let's see. Let's just land here. Move closer. Closer, you say. Oops, careful. Okay, we're good. Tool needed. Part cannot be detached without a tool. Well, I'm not trying to detach anything. I actually want to grab this by the root, which is going to make this very difficult now that I think about it. I may have to like reassemble this piece by piece. Oh my god, I can totally do it. Yes! Nice! So, it looks like I can actually grab and maybe even just attach this and rebuild this piece by piece from the bottom. You know, before I resort to this, it may be prudent to just jump straight into the Hulk constructor bot and just see if I can't actually just pick this thing up. Alright, so with that thought in mind, I decided to go ahead and try to lift this thing with the Hulk construction lifter, and it went about as you can see here. I spent good 45 minutes or so trying to get this to work, trying to lift it with the forklift, with the manipulator claws, with the crane, chasing it around in circles, bouncing into the air using the forklift, things like that for a really long time. And yeah, this is kind of a little highlights reel of my failures. So that is not the way we are getting this thing on its feet, unfortunately. But yeah, I even tried to use the magneto pad, as you can see here, but I couldn't figure out how to make that work. I'm not sure if I was supposed to actually be touching the pad or what I was supposed to do, but yeah, nothing that I was able to do with these cranes worked. And speaking of failure montages, this is the one in which I was trying to actually do the get this upright based on the Kerbal attachment system method of pulling it apart and rebuilding it. And it turned out to be just as challenging, if not more so. Unfortunately, I ended up losing some of my video, so I'm not able to show even most of it. About half an hour of the 2.5 hours that I spent playing with this ended up being lost because I wound up rebooting my game, and my recording software did not pick up Kerbal Space Program after that anymore, so there's just 2 hours of black screen, which is not incredibly interesting YouTubing, I suppose. But yeah, I tried a lot of things. I tried moving these things around and trying to rebuild this from the bottom up. I spent a lot of time actually getting pretty close, where I was just trying to assemble this bit in the air, where I was like, I actually had the tank down, I actually had it sitting pretty nicely. There's a lot of futzing about here with getting it into this setup where it's actually sitting on its legs, but sometimes it just explodes and I realize that I need to actually undeploy the legs or they rocket up into the air like that. But yeah, as you see here, when I actually get the legs down, it sits, and then if I just try again and again and again, I was able to get it to stay put and not fall over like a toppling tree. But in the end, I was not able to get this to work from this point, and it looks like we're just going to have to launch something new. But in the meantime, I did manage to get that Kerbal Space Station science return vessel down and got about 2,000 science. So let's take a look at what we can do with that. So it was a pretty uneventful return once I was able to finally, remember to attach parachutes to that thing. So that went pretty easily. And you'll see that I have a new Karbonite plant that is being sent out to Minmus. So we're just going to start that thing over. But here you can take a look at the changes that I've made. For the new one, I have a nice heavy 3.75 meter booster, some kickbacks, so that should give it a little bit more oomph off the launch pad. And the second stage is MOA powered, so it's got that nice 2.5 to 3.75 meter attachment adapter. So I guess in the next episode we will be seeing this one fly out there. So until then, I'll see you next time.